Good morning, everyone. Yes, so in the last week, we started with a new chapter called Life Process, where we have basically seen the four basic life process: nutrition, respiration. We have not covered it yet in detail, but at least we have seen what all these terms uh, defines and what all criterias we can set for deciding whether something is alive or not. Okay, so today we are going to learn about one such process in detail. Obviously, it is not possible to cover that process in today's class, so that is why it is split into three periods. So today we are going to see the nutrition, and that too nutrition in plants. Okay, so what do you mean by the term nutrition? Okay, it is the process of taking nutrients that we get it from the food material. Okay, that is basically the process of intake of nutrients once you eat the food material, the intake of food from outside to inside of the body to obtain energy. Yeah. So are you wondering how plants get food from the environment? Well, here's what they don't. Plants do not need to take food from anywhere. Because why? Why plants don't need to take food from anywhere? Because they are autotrophs. They prepare their own food. That is how we define an autotrophs. Yes, they do so by the process of photosynthesis. You already know some things about nutrition in plants. First of all, what do you know? They make food in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. So sunlight and chlorophyll are the two important requirements without which the plant won't be able to make the food. Second, the process of making food is called photosynthesis, that we have been learning right from maybe fifth, sixth standard. Because green plants make their own food, they are called as autotrophs. Auto means self, so they prepare their food on their own. Now let us look at it in little bit more detail. I mean, what specially we are going to learn in 10th standard that we are going to focus over here. They take carbon dioxide, that is CO2, from the air. So this is the equation CO2. The roots take in water from the soil, so plus H2O. And over the arrow, we require certain conditions like presence of sunlight, presence of chlorophyll. That is why leaf is shown, because it contains the green pigment. And then they make their food, that is C6H12O6, which is glucose, which is again a form of carbohydrate. The plant uses what it needs. The extra is stored as starch. So whatever plant is using this food material, it is utilizing it, but it never happens that it utilizes it totally. Okay, if you are asking about the balancing part, it will be covered soon in the PPT. Okay, so if you are talking about balancing part, don't worry, we are moving up to it. Yeah, that is what we have still just learnt about glucose and starch. Okay. So glucose is formed C6H12O6. It never happens that plant utilize 100% of the food material which it has made. So whatever excess is there now, it stores in the form of starch. And that's not at all. Oxygen and water is also released in this process. So plus H2O plus O2. Okay. So now the process is similar to what is printed in the textbook. Okay. Let's look at the actual reaction of photosynthesis like it's in your textbook. So now you have a balanced equation where you just try to balance the LHS and RHS part. It is very, very easy. You have to just adopt trial and error method, making sure that the number of atoms of each element on the left hand side is equal to the number of elements on the right hand side. Okay, so this is how the balanced equation looks like: 6 CO2 plus 12 H2O in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll forms glucose, which is C6H12O6. Since this chapter is there for term 1, so it is very important for you to revise this chapter from a MCQ point of view and not from subjective point of view. Yes, so that is lost in transpiration. Okay, and oxygen is released. Whatever excess food material is there, in which form it is stored in the form of starch. So like this, they can ask you. Now let us look at each thing in this reaction a little more closely. How does the plant get CO2 from the outside air inside the plant? So you require CO2, right? So how the plants will get CO2? It will get it through stomata, which are the small holes or small pores present in the leaf. Correct, Janvi? Very good. Now you can see the magnified view. You can also correlate it with the diagram that is printed in your textbook. Yes, it is a bean-shaped structure. Okay. Singular, it is called as stoma. They are small pores on the upper surface of leaves and stem. One more thing, I was just going through the walnut practice quizzes, where I've noticed only two of you have attempted the test. So there was one question that what is incorrect about plants, and there was this statement like plants prepare their food from organic food material, and I think two, I don't remember the name, but the two students have ticked it right. See, plants do prepare their food material. There is nothing wrong in that, but that is not an organic food. That is not from organic raw material. These are inorganic things, right? So be careful about this. ये inorganic है, CO2 plus water. This is not organic. Okay, C6H12O6, the product that is formed is organic. It contains carbon, hydrogen, and a heteroatom that we have seen in carbon and its compound, that is oxygen. Okay, so it is from inorganic raw material. They allow gases to move in and out of the plant. That is one of their roles. However, these pores are not always open. So this is a structure of stomata. This is a stoma, that is a pore that is open, and this is a closed stomata. What all you can see? You can see chloroplast. There is a vacuole, there is a guard cell, and cell wall. Around each stoma, there are two guard cells which act like doors to the pore. How? So see, whenever there is water intake now, what will happen? These bean-shaped or kidney-shaped guard cells, they will swell up. And once they swell up, this pore will get open. Once this pore or once this stoma gets open, now, then the exchange of gases can take place. When can you expect the stomata closing? When the water is moved outside of the guard cell. So when the water is moved outside of the guard cell, what will happen? The guard cell will shrink. And once they will shrink, this particular pore, which was earlier open, will now be closed. Yes, objective questions only, but do read the chapter, Samiha, and underline the important statements. Also, for MCQ question, it is very, very important for everyone to understand the concept. It should not happen, Prabhav. Let us see, today you have maths test, so it will not happen. Earlier there was a problem, but if it persists, mail us, we will let you know. Gases can pass in and out through the stoma only when the pore is open. Yes. So how can MCQ be framed from this section? They can ask you that how the stomatal opening and closing thing is regulated, and they can give you four options. So you have to choose the option which talks about the opening and closing of stomatal pore is regulated by intake and intake of water. Like when there is intake of water, these will swell and the pore will open like this. Okay, so this is concept understanding. If you will not understand the concept now, it will be very difficult for you to solve the MCQs. It won't be that direct. Maybe they can print the diagram in the question, Arhan, and like this they can label it as A, B, C, D, E, and you will be asked to identify what is E, suppose. Or you can be asked like this, what can you choose the correct option about the role of E. So only when you know what E stands for, then only you will be able to justify its role. Okay, so like this they can frame the question. When the cells are full of water, they swell up and move away from each other. That is when we can say that the stoma is open for gases to pass. When the cells are empty, they just lie flat next to each other like this. Stomata is closed. That is when we can say that the stoma is closed for gases to pass through. Now back to photosynthesis reaction. This whole reaction does not happen all at once. You might be thinking that this is the equation. Okay, so plants will absorb CO2, they will get water. After going all these things, they will prepare their glucose in just one go. So this is not like the thing that is actually happening. This particular equation happens in 3 steps. And these 3 steps are very, very unique from 10th standard point of view and also from MCQ point of view. In some cases, the steps can happen right one after the other. We will see what soon. Some plants may take big gaps between the steps also, and we will see how it happens and why also. So the first step is light energy is absorbed by chlorophyll. This is the first step. Second, you could think of plants as large solar cells. They take in energy from the sun to create glucose. So this is step number one. Yes, there are different types of stomata shape. That is true. Depends upon plants to plants and depends upon in what habitat they are living. In fact, you can safely say that sun is the only source of energy on the earth. Second step is using this energy, water is split into hydrogen and oxygen. So first step was what? Light energy is absorbed by chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is present in the leaves. Okay. Once this energy is absorbed, this energy is used to split this water molecule that the plants have taken up from the soil using their roots. Now water molecule is split as H2 and O2, hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen is released from the leaves to get back into the air. Now, a MCQ can be framed from this section as the oxygen that is released during the process of photosynthesis. This oxygen comes from carbon dioxide or this oxygen comes from water. That could be an MCQ question. Because see, carbon dioxide also has oxygen and water is also having this oxygen atom. So you may get confused at this time that oxygen which is released as a product during photosynthesis, from where it is coming. So it is coming from water. Don't forget that. It is not coming from CO2. It is coming from splitting of water molecule. Okay. So hydrogen is left behind. And the third step is carbon dioxide and water react to form glucose and water. So whatever H2 is released during the splitting of water, that H2 combines with carbon dioxide, which is also your raw material, to form glucose, C6H12O6 and water molecule. So these are the three steps that takes place in the photosynthesis reaction. Yes, so H2O splits into H2 and O2. While splitting, O2 is released into the atmosphere. Whatever H2 is remaining, that combines with CO2 to form glucose, C6H12O6. Calvin cycle is little bit different, Samiha. This is related to electron transport chain. So you have PS1 system and PS2 system. That is different. Okay. Why do they do so? Why CO2 is absorbed at night in desert plants? Why can't they do it in the daytime? Because daytime sunlight is also available, no? Yes. So during daytime there will be more rate of transpiration. There will be more water loss because these are the desert plants. They have to focus on saving water. Okay, they want to reduce the water loss. So therefore, the plants absorb CO2 at night. To absorb CO2, first of all, what is the requirement? The stomata needs to be open. If the stomata is open, what will happen? H2O can also leave the plant, and this is something desert plants don't like. Okay, so a lot of water will be lost and the plant could die. So the stoma don't open in the daytime at all. Therefore, plants absorb CO2 in the desert plant at night. But then you will, yes, any doubt? But then you will say that what about sunlight absorption? Is it also during night? Because in night we don't see sun. So how can that process take place? No. Sunlight absorption, that is light energy absorption part, is carried during the daytime. Chlorophyll does absorb sunlight during the daytime. It stores that energy. It stores that solar energy in the daytime. But the to absorb CO2, that process is carried out at night. Okay. That is why the stoma opens at night. At that time, the temperature is low, so there is less water loss. That is what we can expect. And this is an important adaptation of desert plants. Okay, so this is just an exception to what we have learned about the three steps of photosynthesis in detail. For photosynthesis to happen, sunlight is must, so that has to happen in the daytime. Desert plants also absorb sunlight in the daytime. They absorb CO2 only at night, so don't get confused. And thus you can see that there is a delay of many hours in the absorbing of CO2 and the actual process of photosynthesis. So all the three steps that we have learned now, they don't take one by one. I mean, they don't take place simultaneously. They take time. In certain plants, there is a gap between two steps. There is a gap between three steps, depending upon in what habitat they are living. Okay, so that process depends. What else do plants take up from the soil apart from this water? Minerals. What all minerals? Nitrogen. And nitrogen is the main mineral, macronutrient. Apart from nitrogen, what else? Only nitrogen they take? Yes, potassium, phosphorus. So NPK you can say. NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, iron, magnesium. There are other minerals also, but that has to be taken into a very less amount. So that is why we call it as micronutrients. So one is macronutrient, which the plant take up in a huge amount, and the other one is a micronutrient, which is taken in a very less amount. Nitrogen is important to make proteins and other compounds. Some bacteria convert nitrogen from the air into compounds that plant can absorb from the soil. So do you know those bacteria? Yes, which can fix nitrogen? Rhizobium, where it is present? Where it is present? Roots. Roots of which plant? Legumes. Very good. And what about else? Other organisms? Yes, root nodules of leguminous plant, pulses and all you can see. So these are the three steps that we have discussed in detail in the PPT. Some of you might have confusion that, ma'am, whatever wordings that is written in PPT is little bit different from what we can see in the textbook. Yes, they are not different. The meaning remains same. So the first step is absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. Okay. Second is conversion of light energy into chemical energy. This was not printed in the PPT. What does this mean? Light energy, conversion of light energy into chemical energy. Light energy is absorbed, as you can see from here. Sunlight. So sunlight gives us light energy, right? Where is this chemical energy formation taking place? Conversion of light energy to chemical energy. So light energy, I know we are getting it from sunlight. What about chemical energy? So the raw material that plant have taken is light energy from sunlight. They are utilizing this light energy in order to convert it into a glucose with the help of these two raw material. So the glucose that you are getting is organic molecule, right? An organic molecule is nothing but plant will utilize this organic molecule to release chemical energy. Okay, that is the thing. And splitting of water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen, which was already printed in the PPT. Reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate, that is the third step. So in MCQ they do ask like what are the three steps that takes place in photosynthesis, and where you can go wrong, that is also I will tell you. They will print point number 1 and point number 2 as it is, no change. In the option they will print it as it is. They will make the changes in option number 3, where they will change this word of reduction into oxidation, and there you people will make mistake. So remember, in the third step, reduction of carbon dioxide is taking place. Why? See, CO2, which was originally present, is it having any hydrogen? Yes. CO2, is it having hydrogen? No. But when you see it in the product side, is it having hydrogen now? Yes. Addition of hydrogen is also known as, it is reduction. That is why the word reduction is coming into picture. Reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. So see, I have explained it in you very detail what MCQ can be framed from this section, and where they will change the option, that also I have told you. So please do a systematic and strategic study. Don't just read the textbook where you are not understanding the concept. Don't do that. While reading the textbook, understand the concept, think in your mind, okay, from this section maybe they can design the MCQ like this, they can change this word. Do study from that point of view. Okay. Then figure 6.1, cross section of leaf. This chapter is in term 1. but that doesn't mean diagrams are not important. They are important from MCQ point of view. They can print this diagram, they can label it as A, B, C, D, E, and they can ask you what does A stands for? What is the role of A? So suppose A is a waxy cuticle. What is the role of that waxy cuticle? Yes. Why plants have that waxy covering at the top of the leaves? Yes, is it necessary? Why waxy coating is important? To trap water. Yes, to avoid loss of water. So sometimes we also apply Vaseline now when we like if you have seen in lower classes when we try to demonstrate an activity that plants do transpiration. So in that activity what we do is we apply Vaseline over the leaves so that we can study transpiration process. That is nothing but a waxy cuticle, just in order to prevent the water loss. Then you have upper epidermis. Epidermis is the skin of that particular leaf. Okay, epidermal cells. Topmost cells are called as epidermal cells. Then you have chloroplast. Then there are air spaces. These are the guard cells that we have seen in the PPT, and then this is a lower epidermis. Okay, what is the term used for upper epidermis in case of human beings? The outermost layer in case of plant is epidermis, the leaf. But what about animals? Very good. It is epithelium. Yes. So do the study in this way. Connect things. Okay. Connect things when you study science. Now this is an activity where they have taken a potted plant with variegated leaves. What do you mean by variegated leaves? Leaves which are not totally green in color. There are patches of some different color, then there is green patches, something like that. Suppose money plant or crotons. Okay. Now they have kept the plant in a dark room for 3 days so that what all starch is prepared that gets used up. Now keep the plant in the sunlight for 6 hours. So what we have done first, we have no, variegated means it is not totally a grief lean. You can observe it in money plant. There are patches of some green color, there are patches of some orange color, something like that. It is not totally a green leaf. Variety of patches you can observe in a single leaf. Okay, so first of all you will keep the plant in dark room for 3 days. After that you have kept the plants in sunlight for about 6 hours. Now what you are going to do, pluck a leaf from the plant, right? Mark the green areas in it and trace them on a sheet of paper. Now dip the leaf in boiling water for a few minutes. Why are we boiling it? Because we want to kill that leaf. That is why. After this, immerse it in a beaker containing alcohol. See, this is a leaf, okay? It is not totally green. That is the meaning of variegated. Okay, so this is a leaf. First of all, we have boiled it in normal water. Okay, so we have killed that leaf. Now what we are going to do is we are going to boil it in alcohol. So we are going to take a test tube. In this test tube we are going to put some alcohol. There will be a Bunsen burner kind of a thing from where the fire will be released, and then you can dip the leaf over here. Okay, this is just basic a rough diagram. Yes, not to remove starch. So why we are carrying out this boiling process in alcohol is because we want to decolorize the leaf. So this can be another MCQ. That is why we are boiling it in alcohol. Okay. Some of you may say that what will happen if we will not boil? Will it create a difference? Yes. When you will go on for testing the starch now, then the green color of leaf may interfere with that iodine test. That is why it is important that while we boil the leaf in the alcohol, we decolorize it first. Okay. So that is the importance of it. Carefully place the above beaker in a water bath and heat till all the alcohol begins to boil. First of all, being a student of science, you should know that we don't boil alcohol directly. We do it indirectly like this. So first of all, we take a water bath. In that, we immerse the test tube containing alcohol and then we place the leaf. We don't boil it directly because alcohol is very volatile. It can catch fire if you just place it in the beer in that Bunsen burner. Bunsen burner, over the top of the Bunsen burner. So we don't boil it directly. What happens to the color of the leaf? What is the color of the solution? Now dip the leaf in a dilute solution of iodine for few minutes. Take out the leaf and rinse off the iodine solution. Do you remember iodine test for starch that you carried out in standard 6? What is the color formation takes place if the nutrient is starch? It is bluish black, correct, or black you can say. Now, first of all, you have taken a plant which was earlier kept at night. Okay, so when you have kept it at night at dark place, all the starch was used up. Now you have placed that plant for 3 to 4 days, or let's say whatever hours are mentioned in daytime in the sunlight. About 6 hours it is mentioned. Now you have dipped it in boiling water, then alcohol. You have killed the leaf. You have decolorized the leaf, and now you are testing it with iodine. What can you conclude from this activity? Observe the color of the leaf and compare this with the tracing of the leaf done in the beginning. Can you observe the black spots everywhere around the leaf? Yes, because starch is present in some regions only. So wherever starch is present, only over those regions you are going to see the black color after putting iodine drops. Yes. So where there was green, there would be black as chlorophyll produces starch. So that is the conclusion of this activity. Okay, I'll just take 1 or 2 minutes and then I'll just leave you. So this is a leaf. Okay, what we do is, I think what we generally do, to be more precise, is we take a leaf, we keep it in a dark room for some time. Okay, now what we will do is, before placing it in sunlight, now we will cover a section of leaf with a black paper. So we will cover it with black paper. Let's see, this is a black paper, and now we will put it in sunlight. Now when we will expose this to sunlight, what can you comment about this black region which is covered with black paper? Will it undergo photosynthesis? Yes. Will it undergo photosynthesis? No. So if it will not undergo photosynthesis, will there be starch present in this region which is covered with black paper? No. So if there is no starch formation, will you see black and black or bluish black color when you put iodine drops on it? No. So this is how we can prove that sunlight is essential for photosynthesis. Okay.
If you like our videos, do share them and subscribe to our channel. If you want awesome quizzes, write to us. Keep watching and keep learning with Walnut.